Hey guys, I just thought that video was a good video. I couldn't help but think of the Bible verse, Hebrews chapter 12, where it says, "Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us." Now that race is, it really is. It's a race, not for a prize, not for something that, well, there is a prize, but you're not going to get any gold or silver or a medal like they do in the Olympics. But this prize is for an eternal weight, eternal treasure. Uh, this race is the race of your life. This is more important than anything you'll ever do. When you embark on the Christian journey, I know it's not necessarily the best word, but it really is. When you meet Jesus, or he starts to draw you to him, you have to keep following him. Jesus says to walk while the light is with you, lest greater darkness come upon you. That means when God reveals something to you, you need to walk with it, and you need to go forward with it. You can't just ignore it, because if you do, greater darkness comes upon you. Um, Now, I know a lot of people that when they first get in the church, they're really excited about God. They're really excited. I met quite a few people. Well, I've seen a few people. I've helped bring some people into the church that got really excited when they first came to the Lord. And they go and they tell everyone about it. And I'm really excited a lot of times about what God's going to do in their life and how God's going to use them. In fact, I get really excited just to see how God's already using them. And I can only imagine where God's going to take them. But well, I know from my own personal experience that when I got in the church, I was so excited. I told everyone about it. I got myself in quite a bit of trouble, and I was thinking, well, the disciples, they got in trouble a lot too. So, sometimes people didn't like them. They didn't get killed or beat up for no reason, but thrown in prison because they were saying what everyone wanted to hear. But you can only come in with that mindset to the church for so long, and before you're gonna come against some serious trials, and not just any old trials, but trials that will break you. A lot of times, I think the reason why people get into the church and they start off all gangbusters, and they basically they're sprinters. They take off with everything in them. Sometimes it comes from pride. They think they're going to outdo everyone that's in the church, and they're going to do it better than anyone has ever done it. And but the book of Solomon, or Ecclesiastes, he says that there's nothing new under the sun that hasn't already been done, and you can't bring your own gifts to God, your own talents, and expect Him just to accept them by your abilities and your talents. Just you're going to impress God with what you can do. It's just not going to work. And so I think that's why a lot of times people end up crashing. They crash hard, and I think that's actually what happened to me when I got into the church. Um, I don't know. I was in the church for quite a few years, and then I came in from being a drug addict, and I got cleaned up, and I quit shooting up meth, and started trying to help other people. But for the first couple of years, I didn't do a lot, and then all of a sudden, I realized that God wanted me to do something more, and I needed to tell people, and so I started bringing people to church, and things were going really good for a while, but it wasn't after about I don't know, it was about a good year of just being on top of the mountain. And I remember my pastor's wife came and told me that you're on the top of the mountain now, but you're fixing to come down. And I didn't really understand what she meant, but it wasn't too long after that, and I started going through intense trials. And most people would say they weren't really all that big of a deal, because they're things that are common to mankind. I'm not going to lie. I mean, yeah, they are. But I went from it's just like all my friends in the church, they all started to leave. They all started to backslide. They all started just were gone. I had one. He's like my best friend in the church. He brought more people to church than I ever could, and I was really excited about how God was using him. Well, he just left out of nowhere, and he was just gone, and left the church, left God, and everything. And then I had, well, I had a family member that was very into the church, and really excited, and doing much more than I mean, it really convicted me that I needed to do more. And all of a sudden, he went through a trial, and he's just gone. Left. Still hasn't come back. I'm still praying for him. But anyway, so then I went from all of a sudden I just had no friends in the church. They all backslid, and even some of the ones I was working with a little bit, they all, it's just like everyone left all at once. And I remember I would, uh, well, it, I mean, it makes me sound kind of weird, but I mean, there was a time for almost a month or two, maybe even longer, where I couldn't go to sleep. I mean, I'd be crying going to sleep. I'd wake up in the middle of the night crying, and I'd wake up in the morning and I'd still be crying, and I didn't know what was going on. And also, it really slowed me down in the church. I starting to. I remember just trying to pick up people and bring them to church, and I was just thinking, why? I mean, what's the point? No one cares, and I mean, God cares, but it's just like I don't know. It was really tough for me. Well, anyways, I read this book by Billy Cole, and he talked about how when he came back from Asia, he was like the great missionary over there. Went over there bringing in the gospel into Thailand and started great work, and tens of thousands of people have been brought to the Lord under his ministry, maybe even more. And but when he got back to the United States, he just went through severe depression. He just would go through crying spells and crying spells and crying spells. And he told the Lord that you just brought me here to embarrass me in front of all my peers. I can't even get a church going here in the United States. You just brought me here to destroy my ministry. And when he uh, when he got to this church he was headed to, he fell asleep and he had a dream, and there was all these. He looked through a haze, a smoke, and he saw all these little figures, and he couldn't understand what was going on. And then one of these figures stepped out of the haze, and Billy Cole asked them, what are you?" And they said, "We're demons." And he's like, "Well, what are you doing?" They're like, "Well, we're." And the demon said, "Well, we're here from Asia. We followed you here." And he said, "Well, why?" And the demon said, "Because we're demons from Asia and we don't like you." And so Billy Cole realized right that at that moment in his dream that these if they're demons and he's got power over them, he just started to rebuke them in Jesus' name. And he woke up and he realized that all this depression he was going through is really a spiritual battle, and he just got the victory over it in Jesus' name and started to pray against it in Jesus' name. And he said it went away, I believe, until the day he died. I don't know for sure, but anyways, when I read that book, it helped me to realize that I was just going through a spiritual struggle, just a spiritual battle. Then I believe I got back up and I'm back in the race now. Some other people may say I'm still not as zealous and as fiery as I used to be, but you don't have to be. Just as long as you're running with everything within you, and that's between you and God. You know if you're really giving everything you got. I really don't think if you're not, something's going to eventually drag you out of the church. Something's going to drag you away from God if you're not really trying to live for God with every fiber of your being. That's why most people eventually leave the church, because they're only living for God half-heartedly, and that one thing comes in that finally takes them out. But if you started on fire for God and it's been a while since you've been to church, and you kind of just quit living for God, and you just need a little bit of motivation to get back in there, well, get up and start running the race. As you can see in the video there, this showed that the guy's father, when the guy got up and started to hobble towards the finish line, his father ran out of the crowd and grabbed him and helped him make it to the finish line. Because honestly, you're going to find out that there's no way you're going to make it to heaven unless God brings you there. It's only going to be by the grace of God that anyone makes it to heaven. And I hope someone out there gets this video. Maybe haven't been to church in a while, and you realize that, you know what, I need to get back to God, because you know what, your life is going to be empty until you finally get Him back in your life. You're never going to find real happiness in this world trying to pursue the pleasures of this life and trying to pursue the riches, the money. It's all empty, and you're not going to find good enough friends in this world, and it's all going to disappoint you in the end. But Jesus is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Thank you, guys.